Alright, I again encourage you to run through this yourself. Going kind of fast here, but encourage you to pause the videos and try these against your own organization of choice. These are certainly worth knowing. Some people, they specialize in information gathering. There's a lot of research to be done in the area, and at the very least you can really impress people with the things you can find. And I know people who work with local law enforcement to try and find missing criminals using these kinds of open source intelligence gathering. It's a useful skill to have. Alright, so another thing we might want to know is some target email addresses. So what email addresses are available online that we could use for future attacks. So you might think, well, hopefully no one's putting their corporate email address just anywhere online, but of course they are. I've found them in soccer rosters, PTA lists, mail services, all over the place. So we could certainly just go to Google and look, but there's naturally tools for that as well. A nice one is the Harvester. And the Harvester will basically search through different search engines and look at the results and try and find email addresses. So we give it no options, it'll show us the help. And these examples down here at the bottom are very useful. So we can do the Harvester, and then the domain. So let's use cisco.com. There's really not that much for bulbsecurity.com. And then how many we look at. So that's -L for the limit. So I'll do 500. And -B is the source. So here's all the available sources here. So we can just do all. And then let this run. I'm going to search through the different search engines and try and find us some results. So it really just depends on how much is out there. There may be next to nothing. Like my organization, we have about 4 email addresses total, so even if they were all available online, there wouldn't be much to find. It really just depends. But we'll see what we get out of cisco.com. It will take a few minutes to run as it's searching through all these different search engines. But it's much quicker than, say, if we used Google and did it manually. I actually didn't find that many. It also does a little bit of host searching as well, so it found some hosts, but it actually didn't find that many email addresses, so it seems like Cisco has a pretty good policy about telling people not to just leave their email addresses lying around. But we did find a few, so these would be potential emails we could use for future attacks, like social engineering. Another thing we can do is take a look at a site called Netcraft. This will give us information about a particular site. So if we go to netcraft.com, they do a lot of different things besides this, but this is what I like it for, is what's that site running down here to the right. So if I do say, well, let's just do bulbsecurity.com. Here's bulbsecurity.com, www. And that didn't load very nicely. Oh, that actually sent me to it. That's not what I wanted. So let's fix that and actually tell it www dot, and what's that site running? There we go. That looks better. Date first seen, March 2012. That sounds about right. IP address, name servers, NetBlock owner, GoDaddy, domains by proxy. PHP, XML, JavaScript, jQuery, WordPress. Indeed, it is WordPress, which some people have described WordPress as a backdoor with a blogging functionality. So I suppose it's only really a matter of time before my site gets it. So it does have PHP support, it does have WordPress, it does have JavaScript, and it is run on Apache Linux. So a little bit of information about it. So naturally anything that was for IIS or for Drupal or other technologies that I'm not running, if you wanted to go after this site, you could immediately discard any of those potential vulnerabilities because my site isn't running those. But anything for WordPress or PHP or Apache, those would be things I would instead want to spend my time looking at if I wanted to break into this site. Another good information gathering tool is Maltego. So this is a graphical tool. Get rid of this. Welcome to Maltego. So we do need to register for this. You can register for a free account. If you are going to use this on pen tests, they do want you to actually buy a license, but for our learning purposes, we can just check it out. So you can give it some information here. It is going to send the activation code to your email, so do use a real email address. And let me see what I even made my password. And I figured this out not too long ago. Well, somebody told me in a class that it doesn't actually check the CAPTCHA. Because the CAPTCHAs on this are extremely hard sometimes. This one isn't so bad. Well, it says CAPTCHAs are hard. But there have been some ones in Maltego where it's like, there's no way I could ever get that right. So as long as you put something, it actually will let you in. So I'll say CAPTCHAs are hard. If that's the correct email address. Oh, it was. Okay. Only an 8-character password. That's not very good. Alright, so then we can let it use the Maltego public servers for the transforms. Transforms are basically what Maltego calls its jobs, or its searches. You could set up your own transform servers, but we'll just use the public ones here. And I know people who can make Maltego do just about anything. It's really exciting. And then, there's people like me who are, just good enough about it to talk about it. But, again, it's useful. So let's open a blank graph and let me play around. You can kind of deviate here and just kind of pull whatever you want. So over here on the left, these are all of the entities we can run Maltego transforms on. So let's just start with the domain. So Paterva.com is the guys who make it, so I'll do bulbsecurity.com, and again, do this against anyone you like. And we can again pull any entity from this list that we want. You don't have to do the same things as me. In fact, you may find more interesting information if you don't. So if we right-click on any entity, you'll get transforms based on what kind of entity it is. This is a domain, so it'll have domain-based entities. So it's broken down in categories, as well as there's all transforms. So let's do How about to website? It finds www.bulbsecurity.com. Can run a transform on this one, so there'll be different transforms here. To server technologies website, so similar to Netcraft here. Just had a little accept the warning. So Apache, jQuery, Google API, WordPress, so similar to what we saw with Netcraft. Again, we could get email addresses that are on that site. Probably just Georgia@bulbsecurity.com, but maybe there's something else. Didn't show anything. It's odd. It says it found one. Try it against this one. This is one where it'll use the search engine. So similar to what the harvester does here. So it actually gets a little heavy-handed here. It's like publicly at, whoa, there the other one went. So the other one finished, how nice. Like it says publicly at bulbsecurity.com and over at bulbsecurity.com. So basically, if you did a search, I think it's on the site for the smartphone pen test framework. When I first put it out, I said it'll be released publicly at bulbsecurity.com. Wrote out at as AT. And Maltego saw that as possibly a attempt to keep my email addresses from being picked up by things like this or spam bots, and it turned it into an email address, but actually there is no over at bulbsecurity.com or publicly at bulbsecurity.com. Neither of those addresses exist. Looks like on the website it also found additional email addresses like info at nostarch.com. My book penetration testing came from NoStarch, so I guess I tell them to contact NoStarch. And here's another one where it's look at androidmanifest.xml. Obviously, I was telling them to actually look at it, not trying to hide an email address. Let's see, so we could do search pastebin for email. That's always fun. Never know what you'll get. But I run it against info at nostarch.com. I typically run it against me, but that's always a little bit depressing because it seems like nobody ever puts anything nice on pastebin. Says there is no info at nostarch.com on pastebin. Okay, let's see what they have to say about Georgia Bulb Security these days. I don't have a MySpace account on it. Nothing on pastebin for mine either. How interesting. Other URLs that it appears on. Let's see who else is talking about me these days. Looks like a bunch of slideshows. Yeah, these are just about all my slideshows. So, I mean, you can go really far with it. I mean, I've seen people like break into people's Flickr accounts and stuff through it. But, you know, with a certain amount of just playing around, you can get pretty competent at it. You can find a lot of information, plus it makes a pretty graph, and who doesn't like pretty graphs? I mean, customers like pretty graphs, so it's something you might could put in your report and make yourself look really cool, but you don't want the for demo use only in the background, so you would need to buy a license if you wanted to use this on a pen test. But I encourage you to play around with it. I mean, information gathering is some people's favorite thing, some people don't like it, so it really just depends. So something just about everybody does like is Shodan. So go to a website, shodanhq.com, Shodan headquarters. So we can set up an account with this, and it'll give us better results and we can filter them. But basically what this does is it's not super particularly sophisticated even, so it's amazing that it's as cool as it is just based on this. It just looks at banners basically that are served on the internet, and based on what banners come up, it can show you lots of interesting stuff. So basically exposed online devices. So my favorite one, just as an example, webcam XP. It's a banner for a certain kind of webcam that may or may not have a password on it. So again, this is all just public. I mean, if people have logins in front of their stuff, we would be attacking them if we even tried default credentials. But if there's no login and it's just on the internet somewhere, there's no reason we can't take a look at what's there. See this one right here, this first one on the list, it does have username and password, so we'll leave that alone. This is not our client, so we'll see if we can find one that's open. Here's one, so looks like someone doing laundry somewhere. So again, this is just publicly available. I don't know why people put their webcams on the internet, but they do. So, hi, person who's doing laundry. So that's always fun. I mean, people set up things where they kind of like the original Facebook before it was Facebook, where they were like the two pictures and it was who's hotter. I mean, people have set up things with Shodan where it pulls two webcams and it's like which one is more funny to look at kind of thing. So webcam XP is just one example of a search query you can do. And in this case, it comes up with people's webcams, but you can look for pretty much anything that's distinguishable by banner. So basically, what comes back, it'll check there and look for it. So webcam XP in this case. So you can search for some more interesting ones to play with. But, I mean, that's always fun. At the very least, you can impress your friends who are like, oh my god, you can really do that. So, 2 seconds of learning and now you're really impressive, right?